Chapter 7, Characters and Strings, Part 3. There are two things that are important to know about that are different and subtly distinct, and it's important that you are able to tell the difference between the two. The first is the empty string. If you set a string equal to two double quotes right next to each other with no space between them, that represents the empty string. And that is a reference to a memory address with no characters. It can be used in string methods. The other thing is the word null, and you can set a string variable equal to null, and what that will do is put the Java keyword null, N-U-L-L, in the reference variable. So there won't be an address there won't be an address of an empty string, there will be the word null, meaning explicitly nothing. So null means that there's absolutely nothing there, and strings are set to null by default, and then when you assign them a value, they actually go out in memory and create the object. You can't use null for string methods, and it's important that we learn how to check to see if a string contains null before we try to apply methods to it, because we can get an exception thrown if we try to reference a string that is actually a null. There's some other string methods that are important to know about. We've already looked at equals and equals ignore case, but also contained in the string class are the two uppercase and the two lowercase methods. If you have a string variable dot two uppercase, it will return the string in all uppercase letters. So not title case, but all uppercase letters, like you're shouting. If you have a string variable and you say, let's say the string variable is a greeting, and you say a greeting dot two lowercase will return the contents of that string variable a greeting, all in lowercase, so no uppercase letters at all. It'll take any uppercase letters and convert them to the lowercase letters and return that. Notice that two uppercase and two lowercase, they return a value. They don't change the actual string, because recall, strings are immutable, they cannot be changed. Another handy method to use is the length method, and the length method will return the length of a string. It will return how many characters are in that string, including spaces if there are any. The index of method will search for a specific character and return the location of that character. Now with strings, Java starts counting at 0. So the first character in the string is at index 0, the second character is at index 1, and so on. So think about it. Length returns how many characters there are. So can we look for index of and supply it length? No, because that's one more than the index of the last character in the string. Because we start counting at 0, length will always be one more than the index of the last character in the string. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Index of returns a -1 if the character you're looking for cannot be found in the string. So -1 will be returned if it's not there, not found. Otherwise, it will return the index of the character that you're looking for. The char@at method requires an integer argument. That integer argument represents an index, and you're looking for a character at a specific location. So char@0 will return a character at the first location in the string. It's important to be careful that you don't supply an argument that is outside the bounds of your string. The index always starts counting at 0, so char@at should never get a negative argument, and it shouldn't be more than length -1, because you'll throw an exception. Two other handy methods are ends with and starts with, and they take a string argument and they return a true or a false if the string does or does not end or start with the specified argument, respectively. So if you're looking for all ly words, for example, and you say ends with quote ly close quote, it will return a true or false if that string ends with ly. The replace method replaces all occurrences of some character within a string. Again, it creates a new one because strings are immutable. The toString method, this is a super handy method, and by default, it is included in all classes in Java. But it's important for later on, we're going to learn how to override this to make it specific to each class that we write. But for right now, and some of you, we've talked about that in your labs already, so some of you have already started using toString, or I've encouraged you to do so. But it will return the object as a string. So the toString method will return the object as a string. Now, it says here that it's not part of the string class, but the truth is that it's it's included in the object class, and every class is derived from object, so we can access it. Let's take a look at this example. If we want to convert primitive types to strings, such as an integer, we can use the wrapper class called integer. So, for example, backing up a second, string the string, which, what will that be set equal to when we declare it? It will be set equal to null by default. Int sumInt equals 4. The string equals integer.toString. Integer is a wrapper class that wraps a primitive type in some additional functionality, some additional methods. For example, the toString method is part of the integer class. We pass it the argument 4, and it will return that 4 as a string. How is the number 4, the integer 4, different from the string 4? It's just how it's stored. The string 4 has double quotes around it. The integer 4 does not. Concatenation is a $5 word for putting two strings together. The plus sign is the concatenation operator. String a string equals my age is plus age will convert my age to a string, concatenate it onto the end of the string, literal my age is, and store the result in the variable called a string. The substring method extracts part of a string. It takes an existing string and pulls out part of it. It takes two integer arguments, a starting position and an ending position. So the length of the extracted substring is the difference between the second integer and the first integer. So it's the difference of never mind. I'll get to that example in a second.